Hey everybody, hope you're doing well, hope you're doing good, glad you're here, glad you're staying strong, glad you're resilient, glad you're somehow part of the very few that you're gonna see this, so hope you're doing well, or hope you do well. I'm at a point in my life where this has become, a focus of me, but being unapologetically you, well, in this case, being unapologetically me, this is something that I've been working on, and I'm still not to the point where I can feel satisfied with the achievements or with any progress. There's still a long way to go, but I can acknowledge that I have come a long way. But being unapologetically you, especially in any day and time, in any era, but especially this one where I feel like judgment and the accessibility for people to judge, and for vulnerability, because you're, growing up before phones and before like technology, obviously you have modes of transportation and there's news and things, so you can still get notoriety and fame. But with this shit, it's like things are going at a hyper speed. Technology is crazy. It's getting crazier. But that aside, people's judgment and people's comparison has been, I don't want to say at an all-time high, because I really don't know. But it is prevalent. It is prevalent. You push it out there, you're going to be judged, and you're putting yourself out there for judgment. I'm not gonna say people put themselves out there for wrong reasons or things of that nature, but I feel like just existing, regardless of putting something out there for people specifically to judge, some type of media or content or anything like that, or artwork or whatever it may be, as a whole, as a being, as a person, as a living entity, you should be unapologetically you. And I can understand the argument of like, if you're growing, you don't know who you are, and you're always growing. You, at least theoretically, conceptually, you should always be growing. You should always be putting yourself in opportunities for growth, challenge your way of thinking. People say if it's not broke, don't fix it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But it doesn't mean you can't upgrade, you can't improve. Sometimes improvement means a nullification of the past that you used to know, that you used to identify with. But regardless, I'm talking. Actually, no, this still talks about points, but it's like, in the pursuit of, not enlightenment necessarily, but it's in pursuit of growth and pursuit of excellence, I guess, if you will. If we're talking how it is, like not just living a mediocre life, but even wanting, in any life, in any capacity, even if you have grand goals, if you have average goals, if you have, smaller goals, it's more attainable goals, more just humble goals, if you will, being you and allowing yourself to, both in a sense of an external sense and how you view yourself internally. So how people view you and how you view yourself. You should allow yourself to truly be okay with taking risks. So that means accepting success, which a lot of people do fear from. People have fear of success, a fear of their greatest potential because of a lot of things. And then you have the aspect of making mistakes, being vulnerable. I made a past video talking about being a fool, being embarrassed. Embarrassment. I saw someone said this. I don't know where I saw it on, maybe YouTube or Twitter. I forget what it was, but embarrassment is a personal choice. Like it's not like if you get hit, you coil, you reflex instinctively because you got hit. There's kinetic energy, and that makes sense. But how you feel about a situation, let's say, I don't know, what's an embarrassment? Like you slipped it, like it's snow, it's ice on the ground. You slipped. Someone might feel embarrassed because you slipped, but it's like anybody could slip. It's like, hey, we be slipping sometimes. Yo, we be slipping sometimes. I should not touch my hands. Or I should not touch my face. Fuck. No sponsorships. No sponsorships. Drink more water though, or have your fruits. But no. That mentality of embarrassment, shame, guilt. Now, granted, there's certain things that are justifiably, that we should have embarrassment because it may not go with what we, stand for or what we are. But it's also like people take themselves too seriously in this day and age. Or not in this day and age, in general. Like, people have always done it. Life is serious, but life is also like short. Life is also fun. It's good to be serious, and you have to be serious. And I think most of the times we should be serious, but there definitely are times where relaxation and being able to, take a joke or be humble or not be so defensive, and to not be so offensive. I think, it's the Tao, like living with the Tao. I mean, like that's that mentality of just going with the flow, not being too much and not being, well, I guess underperformative. I don't really know. It's probably a better way to say it, but like, not being like hesitant or like whatever, things of that nature, or inactive. Like if a situation calls for you to be active, you should be active as opposed to being inactive or reactive or whatever it may be. We cling to the aspect of control and we like to title things, and we like to almost like always have a certainty. And I feel like there tends to be a lot of rigidity with ways of thinking when you get to points of like certainty. This thing exists for sure and there's no way of changing it. That's not necessarily true. On a science level, that's not necessarily true. Certain principles are how they are, but it also doesn't mean they can't change state. And if they change state, original form might be original form, but original form versus a different state, two different things. Same principles, but different. Now, granted, is that the best analogy I could have made? No. Is it an analogy you can kind of understand? I think so. I gotta start saying I'm just filling space. But no, I think that's generally what I always say this, and I talk for 4 more minutes. But no, someone made a comment in my last YouTube video. Great comment. Sorry, I'm not good with names, but you know who you are. There's not a lot of people that be commenting, so you're gonna know who you are if you watch this video. Get a good comment on self-reflection and just like reality of life. It's easy to get caught up in things, just of how we grew up in cultures and environments. Certain cultures, certain countries, do accentuate certain features that you may not. I was gonna say may not jive with. Jive? Who even says that? That you may not, you may not click with, you may not connect with. I'm at a point where I feel like I've outgrown my coop. This house that I've known, this city that I've known, there's even this, this city. And the cities, like the surrounding cities. Maybe even this province, this province is big. But even still, I feel like this world is vast. And each of us, all these living beings, all these humans on this planet go through different things and are going through different things. Certain people are going through hard times that they don't necessarily show it, and especially in public, you're not going to see it. Like, you really never know what someone is going through. Someone could be on their last fucking edge. Someone could be having a great time but doesn't show it. Someone could be going through like the midst of a heartbreak. Someone could be going through anything. They could be going through a good time or bad time, but it's like you don't know. And I feel like as a conscious being, we make conscious efforts. And when people do things and they don't take accountability, or they do things and maybe it's like a subconscious reflect or a subconscious action. I think I made a callback to this quote. I think it was Carl Jung that said the quote. If you continue to let the subconscious control the conscious or whatever, you'll call it fate. I actually messed up that quote. I just messed up the quote. Anyways, but yeah, you can find it now. Carl Jung. That's the philosopher that said the quote. But it's literally of, the mind is malleable. Matter is malleable. Our lives are malleable. Because our lives may be going in a certain direction and have been in a certain state and have been going in a certain direction. Let's say you've been living a very harsh life because you were born in very unfortunate circumstances, or sequences of unfortunate circumstances, and it made times harder. And it's never to discredit one's contention with life and its challenges, but it's also comes down to, well, granted, a lot of these winners, successful people, businessmen and whatever, a lot of people do consider success with financial gain. So let's say in that sense, a lot of these people do have handouts. They do come down from money. They may want to claim they did it by themselves, but they had access to a lot more funds as opposed to someone that's literally starting from ground zero with, let's say, a family or a foundation, or no family and no foundation, and that build up something from their own. It's good to have high dreams. If you shoot for the moon, you still land on some stars or whatever the fuck. Even the moon's closer than stars are. It's an old quote, so I get it. I do believe so. It would make sense. Anyways, we tend to make our lives harder than it has to be. Sometimes that's just due to conditioning. But because we've been living a certain way, I feel like that in itself should be an acknowledgement that we can still change how it is. And like, that may seem like it contradicts itself, but if we chose to live a certain way, we can choose to live another way. And especially as growing beings, if you don't know yourself, you don't know principal factors about yourself, what you stand for. That's a good question. If you don't know what you stand for, figure that out. That's some of the first, like, if you know you don't have a backbone, if you know you don't have a spine, you do anything for money, you know where you stand. You know where you stand, and that self-acknowledgement is good. You should know who you are. The world's a big place. Humans are diverse. We're all different people, so who am I to judge and live for how they live their lives? If we come into conversation that's different, but I don't know how you lived your life, I just say, hey, if there's no problems, there's no problems. If there's problems get solved. That's all it is. But regardless, 15 minutes, yap. I feel like on a general level, I feel like hopefully my message was vocalized at least accurately. At least there's some. Hopefully there'll be some comprehension. I need a haircut, bro. If you have any thoughts, any opinions, please do let me know. Especially if you got to this point. If you got to this point, thank you. I don't look at my. Somebody may get the comment. Anything past this point is not going to talk about the video. So thank you. If you got to this point, thank you for watching. If you're watching from this point, thank you for giving your time to me. Somebody mentioned to me about actually trying to put effort into, I guess more structured videos, more consistent videos. They didn't mention this part, but doing the actual hashtags and promoting or advertising, not putting hashtags, putting tags. Yeah, I haven't put no tags. So anybody that's really watching these videos, you just got it, just I guess algorithm sakes. But I put these videos out for the rare people that would find this, because I just, the prospect of fame and gaining more attention and gaining the possibility of people coming up to me, oh my god, like the moment where my privacy is now breached because of good intentions, it's like, it's not that it's a problem, but it's one of those like it's cause and effect. Like, I understand it's an effect of what would be should I have, or should I try to actually. And I want to help more people. I just really want to do it under the guise of something else, you know what I mean? Be able to protect as much as this as I can. You know, if I can make a what's it called? A masked version of myself, or a hidden identity popular, and that's my proxy, I guess. If I can do that, and I'm still able to express myself and how I am, I would love to do that. As opposed to like make this the capital of vulnerability for me. But they also mentioned doing like TikTok, and like once I do TikTok or Instagram, doing Instagram Reels, it's like that's really hitting the algorithm. And it's not to say that I think I'll blow up in the next year. I think regardless, it'll still take me a while. If I continue to do these videos and I do continue to have some form of consistency, there will be some type of thing. But I don't think I post often enough, nor do I have the drive to even try to be popular. I have a goal in mind, but with the form of media I want to put out, people may know my name, or they may know an alias, but there'll be very few people that will actually know me, that will actually be able to, like, because in time, inshallah, should I continue to live and I can actually continue to, like, if this, let's say hypothetically this is just a quarter of my life, or even say like close to, say even half my life, to the point that, because I'm 25, turning 26, so let's say I'm 50 or 52. Sorry, I need Whew, I need to vote for that one. 50. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't even. Let's just say 5 years. No. Let's just say, yeah. Yeah, some time from now, there will be a point where people can look back and find these videos, find these points. Slow down there, buckaroo. People can go back and find some type of trace. I do want to have some type of, I don't think I'll actually have a connection with these videos, because these videos are just me lamenting about my lifely woes. my momentary turbulences. Once again, just I view myself as stars scattered through a universe, and it just slowly goes out, each one imploding as the darkness fills and the light slowly dims. Once it gets to the few, then it shines and it burns the brightest. Darkness is vanquished. But that's only momentary. Once again, time is a, the fuck am I, anyways, yap. Thank you for watching. If you actually got to this point, hey, if you actually got to this point, unless you skipped, if you skipped, you're lame, you're not real. You're lame and you're not real. If you got to this point, There's nothing I can, what do I say? Say dragons land on the tallest peaks. And if you've heard that, you, my friend, are not anything less than a dragon. You, my friend, are not anything less than of the upper echelon. There's certain few that will generally break through and continue to break through. And there's some that get complacent. There's some that lose the drive. Motivation is things. There's some that lose the drive and the determination. Some that lose their reasoning, that purpose. Life is a set of endless and infinite challenges, obstacles. But the only one that could truly defeat us is ourselves. Because the first barrier for any challenge or any pitfall is the mind. It's how we perceive things. It's how we first initially understand a situation, and then how we comprehend the situation. And then once we get from that point, how do we act with the situation? How do we vocalize the situation? One is how we talk to ourselves, and then how, if somebody were to ask us about the situation, how honest, how truthful are we? How do we describe it? Because how did we remember, and then how did we feel from it? These are things that you can all manipulate within yourself. Maybe manipulate is not the right word. These are all things you can guide, if you will. You can cultivate within yourself. I think we all have limitless potential, and I think some people, more of the minority, to be honest, but are able to, continually break through certain walls that might be, erected. Dude, I feel like my vocabulary has been absolutely stupendous. Absolutely fantastic. No, it's a shallow mind that uses words to honey sugarcoat things. I'm just a fool that rambles. Thank you for watching. Hope if you anything you take from this, I hope it can guide you well, remind you well, maybe informed you well. We can all learn from one another, whether despite class, culture, country, age. A man can learn from a little child. The elderly can learn from a teenage girl. Anybody can learn from anybody. Teacher can learn from an astronaut. I don't know why my profession, to be honest, but a doctor can learn from. Anyways, fight against AI. No, I'm serious though. Yeah, though. Thank you. Try to spread some kindness, by the way. Spread some honesty. Well, do be honest. Spread some kindness, though. If you see somebody that might be struggling, help them out. Sometimes we wait for somebody else to be the first person. Be that first person. If you see somebody that's struggling, somebody that's lost, somebody that needs help, if you have the capacity, if you have the time,